Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. In this video, we'll discuss the new Halo TV series adaptation. Adaptations of video games have been fraught with danger for the entire history of doing them. Enthusiastic players of their favorite games are most often turned into horrified, disgusted, or disappointed viewers of those adaptations of the same games. The first and arguably worst, well, the second and third entries on this list are as bad as the first one is. The first and worst is Super Mario Brothers from way back in 1993. And Super Mario Brothers made the #1 mistake video game adapters make, video game adaptations make during the adaptation. They try to take a movie that is basically a live-action playthrough of the game, and that's it. That's all they do. They just show Mario and Luigi as doing things in the game that you would do as playing Mario and Luigi. That's it. The next two, Double Dragon and Street Fighter, suffer not only from low production values, even more than Super Mario Brothers, but from the same thing, just playthroughs, live action playthroughs. I will point out, Street Fighter is worth one watch through because Raul Julia did a magnificently over the top performance as M. Bison because he wanted to do it for his kids. The first successful video game movie was the 1995 Mortal Kombat. Despite its flaws, it did the one thing that fans want to see in movie adaptations, primarily. They saw an adaptation of the story in their beloved games, detailing the story of their beloved characters. Over the years, there have been about 30 such adaptations. Most have been horrible at best. I'm going to give you a link down below to the Wikipedia list of them. The only other good ones, which you should watch, aside from the first Mortal Kombat, is the first Silent Hill film, which is maybe the best one. The only thing is you should read the story of the Silent Hill game first before you watch the movie, because the story can be a little difficult to understand if you've never played the game and then just watch the movie straight. And then the most recent Mortal Kombat film had great fight scenes, maybe the best you've ever seen in any video game movie. But the only story worth watching was Scorpion's story throughout the whole thing. They really should have made it more of that and jettisoned some. Part of the problem was they made it new characters for the movie for no apparent reason, and no one liked the character or had no interest, which is part of the problem. What I will mention below, where they try the creators of the project try to add their own spin to it, and that usually fails because the fans don't like it. Rampage, which was starring The Rock, came out maybe 10 years ago. A surprisingly good popcorn movie, worth one watch. It's basically a giant kaiju film. If you've never played the original Rampage, it's just the monsters on a rampage and humans dealing with it. That's that. They do have a bit of a plot in that one, so it makes it worth the watch. The first Tomb Raider was surprisingly good. Angelina Jolie was dead on as Lara Croft. And then the recent Sonic Hedgehog film, people tell me has been good, was okay or good. I haven't seen it yet. So what makes a good video game adaptation? #1, do not just make a playthrough of the game and as your movie or TV show. Because the fans can play the game for that themselves and enjoy it more by doing it themselves than watching actors do it. What you want to do is you want to adapt the storyline of the game itself, the existing lore and whatnot. Most games worth adapting, they have good and sometimes great stories with deep lore built in, and there's material there that if you can just turn it into a movie or a TV show and get the right actors and the right director and all that, you've got gold. Don't think that the fans want something besides that. There's a reason that the video game you plan on adapting has sold tens to hundreds of millions of copies. Right? Get actors who take the roles seriously. It's even better if the actor is a fan of the game. Do not make your own story with just the trappings of the video game. We'll talk about that below. Do not think that fans will show up just because you use the name of the game and the characters. So on to the Halo show specifically, and I got 2 articles up here too we can talk about briefly, but I'll give you some highlights of them. The first here is a Collider article, and Collider is a classic media shill site where they will, you got to take everything they say in it with a grain of salt, because most of the writers there tend to provide favorable reviews of products and movies and TV shows and whatnot just to get access, basically. I'm not saying they all do that or such, but they're known for doing that. Okay. And the other article is from Bounty in the Comics, which mentions some of the problems with the change. Bounty in the Comics tends to be a sort of straight player, just tell you what's going on type of site. You know, so that's why I'm giving you both sides of the spectrum there, so you got to make your choice of what you want to read about. So now to the Halo TV show. I've been hearing some good things and bad things about this adaptation. I've heard the actors themselves, quality actors, the production values will be good and all that. You know, so they're putting money into it, right? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be bad because it's woke. I mean, it looks like it's going to go woke, but before you get to the part whether the wokeness is bad, we can get to address the elements I'm going to talk about now, okay? Because it's not going bad because it's woke. Okay? It could, but you know. The showrunners seem to have missed entirely the core essence of the game they're adapting. Halo has one main character, the Master Chief. The Master Chief is never identified completely by name. You never see him out of his power armor. You may see reflections of his face occasionally. That's about it. These showrunners have decided to set this out an alternative timeline. This lets them think that they will allow to have a basically completely different Master Chief character. In this case, he has memories erased and he's an emotionless robot, rather than a real Master Chief who has faced a lifetime of brutal and voluntary indoctrination and overcomes that and becomes the hero we all know and love, so to speak. You know, they plan on changing the events of the series out of order. I'm not as objecting to that so much because that's part of the adaptation part, which is going to be good. It's taking the story in the game and adapting it, you know. But changing the Master Chief from being the only main character, and you should never see the Master Chief's face, and you should never, you know. Anyway, and some of my final thoughts. I don't want to belabor this video because we don't know. We'll hear more about this in the future. I'm not too hopeful about the series. I'll probably watch the first couple episodes just to give it a fair shot. It seems that these showrunners, they keep putting showrunners on these things that they want to make their own versions of these products rather than just adapt what was originally done. Which, again, these original versions, games and books and whatnot, have millions and millions of fans, and they're not going to want follow through with a product if you don't give them what they want to see. And the early MCU was successful not because Feige trod new ground. Kevin Feige is the overall, I guess you would say, VP who controls Marvel Studios. He's the showrunner, so to speak, on all the Marvel stuff. It wasn't. They should see not because Feige didn't try new ground, but because he was having faithful, but quality adaptation, with quality acting and production values, but taking the stories that were told and putting them on the screen in a way you could. And the first two phases of MCU should be an example for all this stuff. Or the recent Reacher TV series on Amazon Prime. But I got to point out that Reacher, I have a video review of Reacher, which I hope you'll watch. It's an excellent adaptation. The owner and author, Lee Child, is the executive producer on the adaptation. That's probably why it was successful. I'm not going to belabor this. So what are your thoughts or questions? Please share them down below. I'm Matt. This is Unbearable73. Hit the like button if you like, dislike if you don't. Comment down below and subscribe if you're interested in more content from me. Share this video out to help my channels grow. Have a nice day. I am out of here.